Okay, we are just days away from the Grey Cup here in Winnipeg. We need a big co-host, someone that's going to put the show over the top. Do you know anyone?
Well, Mike, I've done some hosting before.
Really?
Mike, if you need a co-host, I can be your number 2.
Won't you be my number 2?
Me and number 1 are through.
There won't be much to do.
Just smile when I feel blue.
All right, let's do it. You ready?
Actually, 1 second. I gotta go to the bathroom.
Everything all right?
I think it's number 2.
Hi there, everybody. I'm your host, Mike Valente. This is it. This is our 4th and final studio show for Grey Cup Game Plan, and we're going out in style. Jay Onrait is here, everybody. Beloved Canadian sportscaster working for Fox Sports 1 down in Los Angeles, California. He is in Winnipeg promoting his new book, which is right here. So let's bring him out right now. Hang on, everybody. It's time to go across the West. This is Across the West here on Grey Cup Game Plan, and this week I have the pleasure to be joined by the one and only Jay Onrait. Jay, how's it going?
Great, Mike. How are you?
Not too bad. We're very happy you joined us today.
It's a pleasure to be here.
Tell us about the book. It's number 2.
Yeah, number 2. It's obviously a reference to it being the second book I've written and
Really?
the fact that I have a lot of poop stories in it. So that's basically why I called it that. I'm not good at titles.
Right. What we do on each of these shows is we go out to the various Shaw TV markets. So we're going to go out to Saskatoon now and join Simon Hyatt. Simon.
Thanks very much, Mike. That's right, we are in Saskatoon along the beautiful South Saskatchewan River. Of course, the Rough Riders play down Highway 11 in Regina, but as we all know, this is truly a provincial team. I'm joined now by Dave Thomas from CJWW here in Saskatoon, who has spent years covering the Riders. And Dave, during that time, you know as well as anyone just how passionate this fan base is, whether it's a tough season like this one or ones that's a little bit better.
You know, you're bang on, and you can go to 2009 and my first ever Grey Cup covering the team on the sidelines. Of course, that's the infamous 13th man incident, and you'll never forget that at McMahon Stadium. You could see the passion of the fans as that Damon Duval 38-yarder sails wide, and then the call was made, and it was like a funeral procession with players going down and breaking into tears, the head coach walking by Rider Nation, and then on the east side of McMahon Stadium, there's actually a walkway that the fans go across, and it was literally like a funeral procession. So you see it all in Saskatchewan.
They're passionate no matter what. This year, obviously, a tougher one, as I said off the top, but the Rider Nation still strong even in a year like this?
Absolutely. You know, you put 30,000 people at Mosaic Stadium, you're always going to have passion, and I expect nothing less from Rider Nation.
All right, good stuff. Thanks very much, Dave. We're going to send it back to you in the studio. Take it away, Mike.
Thank you very much to Simon and Dave in Saskatoon. So they mentioned Saskatchewan, obviously. I'm guessing you have a few Rough Riders experiences. Their fans are insane.
Yeah, they are. And what's interesting about the fact that they were in Saskatoon, when I was working in Saskatoon back in the late 90s, I wouldn't say that the passion for the Riders existed in that city quite to the level it does now.
Really?
What I mean by that is there was still a little bit of that separation between Saskatoon and Regina, and I thought the Riders felt more like a Regina team at the time. Now, when I go back there, and I'll be there this month in Saskatoon, it's a totally different city. They're as passionate about the Riders, maybe not quite as much as Regina is, because obviously that city is crazy for them, but they're really passionate about that team, to the point where I've often floated the idea that perhaps there should be 2 CFL teams in Saskatchewan. You know, that's how much that province in general just loves the Canadian Football League.
And they travel well, too.
Yeah.
Even if they're not in the big game, there's always Riders fans.
Absolutely. And, you know, season ticket holders to Mosaic Stadium are from all over the province. And that goes on for years and years. If you're lucky enough to nab season tickets at Mosaic Stadium, you're never going to give them up. So if you have to drive 3 hours from wherever, if you have to drive an hour from Fort Capel or 3 hours from the Battlefords or whatever, you're going to do it. So the fact that they're building new stadiums in this league. The fact that the Prairies are getting great new stadiums, I think it bodes really well for the long-term success of the Canadian Football League. It's a nice thing to see.
We can't forget about the Bombers. We're sitting here in Winnipeg.
Yeah.
Bombers fans have been through a lot. It's been like 27 years since they won a Grey Cup, but that loyalty is still there, right? They've got the Banjo Bowl every year. They got the Beer Snake.
It's funny, I used to, with my old Big Breakfast Winnipeg co-host John Youngberg, we were on-field hosts, I guess you could say, back at the old Winnipeg Stadium for the Blue Bombers, and it was just the best gig I ever had in my life. I don't even think we were paid for it, but it was great. It was so much fun to just be down on the field level with those passionate Bomber fans and hang out with the cheerleaders. That was pretty good too, and just sort of be immersed in it. See what it was like down from field level. I haven't had a chance to go to the new stadium yet. I would love to, but I can't wait for the Grey Cup this year. It's going to be awesome.
You were born in Alberta.
Yeah.
Were you always an Eskimos guy? Or?
Yeah, and it's funny, I was an Eskimos guy because we were about an hour north of Edmonton, and when I was growing up, early 80s, it was the prime Warren Moon years. So Warren Moon was leading that incredible group of Edmonton Eskimo teams to 5 straight Grey Cups. Just one of the greatest teams in the history of the Canadian Football League. So obviously that fueled our passion for that team. And then later when I went to University of Alberta for 2 years, which I call the lost years because I didn't accomplish anything and I wasted a lot of my parents' money. I was able to, for $99, this is incredible, $99, get season tickets for the Eskimos.
Wow.
And that included all regular season games, a preseason game, and a playoff game. And I sat 10 rows up on the 20-yard line.
Wow.
I don't think that deal exists anymore.
Times have changed. Yeah.
But it was incredible.
Yeah.
And so, we'd all go. I mean, even though we were starving students, we could afford $100 for, all those CFL games. So I've always grown up loving the sport. I just love the passion of the fans. And especially, we're talking about all these markets on the prairies. I'd love to see Atlantic Canada get a team, and I sincerely believe that that's almost like, to me, the CFL is like a big, beautiful jigsaw puzzle, and we just got that one missing piece.
You're right. There's a lot of fans out there.
Maybe two missing pieces without Quebec City, because Quebec City football is so huge in Quebec now. I really think they could support a team, but Atlantic Canada would be amazing to get that fan base in on it. I think their passion would be almost equal to like a Rough Rider Nation passion. I think that would be pretty awesome.
This has been segment 1 of Across the West. The book is number 2. One of the many things I like about you, Jay, is that you're a big Martin Short guy.
Yeah,
I love Martin Short. On the back of this book, we have a quote from Martin Short that says, "Of all the Canadians I have worked with in Hollywood, Jay Onrait is definitely one of them." And that's just classic Martin Short.
I'll take it.
We'll be back with Jay momentarily. This is Grey Cup Game Plan here on Shaw TV.
Geroy Simon, a household name for any BC Lions fan. And a name that brings memories of 15 great seasons in the CFL, 12 as a BC Lions slot back.
Geroy was always well prepared. He always knew, what was expected of him. Always, knew how to attack opponents.
From his Most Outstanding Player award to being the all-time leader in CFL receiving yards, the All-Star receiver was instrumental in helping the BC Lions win the Grey Cup in 2006.
How did it feel winning that first Grey Cup in 2006 for you?
Winning my first Grey Cup was probably the best feeling of my life, other than having kids and getting married. It was one of the most rewarding things because I'd worked so hard. And before that, before winning the 2006 Grey Cup, I never won a championship as a professional.
But it wasn't his last. He went on to help the Lions win the title in 2011 after a rough start to the season.
We started out really slow, and to come back and win it all was a great feeling.
The Pennsylvania native won another championship with Saskatchewan before hanging up his helmet for good. And this past February, he embarked on a new adventure with the Lions.
I came basically in a scouting role, and since February when I got back here, it has expanded. It started with me just doing a little bit of CIS work and then a little bit of free agency stuff. But now I've progressed into doing more NFL work. I also support the business side as well in the off season.
When we had an opportunity to bring him back in a capacity that I feel he's going to do very, very well at, we did. And, so far he's been an asset.
You go to a practice and you just write notes on guys, and it's just constant.
And that's not all. He takes his responsibility as a role model and a mentor seriously, and he's always there for players needing guidance.
I never really had a mentor, someone to really look up to, someone to give me a ton of advice. So to be there for the players in that capacity has really helped me. Just to be more responsible and to try to help these guys progress, not only on the field but off the field.
As for what he plans to do next,
I want to be a top executive in a organization. Wally's been a great mentor for me, up until this point, with working on the business side of football. So maybe one day I'll replace him when he decides to hang it up.
One, he loves football. Two, he is very smart, and the other thing is he's got a lot of confidence in who he is and what he can do.
So you see him someday replacing you?
Well, someone's going to replace me, and no better guy than you, right?
in Surrey, I'm Jenny Tosi for Shaw TV.